All right, the polysaccharides, the first class we'll talk about is cellulose. Um, so polysaccharides basically contain three or more monosaccharides joined together. So it's not a monosaccharide, it's not a disaccharide, it's what we call polysaccharides. There are a lot of them joined together. Cellulose is an unbranched polymer made up of repeating glucose units that's a 1,4-beta glycosidic linkage. That is a mouthful. Basically, this is a polymer. It's a bunch of glucoses, tons and tons of glucoses just joined, and they are in the beta linkage. These are found in cell walls of plants where it gives it support and rigidity, such as wood and plant stems and grass. All right, humans do not possess the enzyme to hydrolyze cellulose because it's incredibly big, and the enzyme you need is what's called a beta glycosidase. However, we do not have that. All right, so this is the structure. So that's why when they say eat your fruits and vegetables because of the fiber, well, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about cellulose. Um, it's made up if this is what is considered our insoluble fiber. All right, because we just cannot break down any of these bonds. All right, so starch, however, is a polymer, but it is the alpha glycosidic linkage. It's the opposite linkage, and our bodies can easily break this down. All right, so corn, rice, wheat, potatoes. Um, it's the first main type of starch is called amylose. Okay, amylose is a type of starch. It's basically it's a straight chain starch that our bodies are able to break down. So alpha, we can break down. Beta, we cannot. All right. A second type of starch, which is so these three are straight chains. So it's just a bunch of sugars. Sugar in a straight chain, sugar in a straight chain. But then you can have a sugar and then have another sugar hanging off of here and have another chain that comes off of there. So you got a big chain here, and then you have a beta linkage of some sort, and then you have another chain. And that's called amylopectin. All right, it's a second type of starch. Notice they are all alpha linkages, except for the one bond that's hooked here. It's a different kind of bond, but basically everything is still alphas, and this is still a type of starch, but it's a much larger um, structure. It's not just a linear. All right. So amylose is an unbranched polymer, alpha linkages. Amylopectin, same thing. It's a 1,4-alpha, but then you also have this 1,6. Okay, it's called 1,6 because it's attached onto the 6 carbons. Remember, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, here's 5, here's 6. So it's a 1,4, 1,6 alpha glycosidic linkage. All right, both are starches. They can be metabolized with what's called amylase. It just all depends on the storage. One stored in the muscle, the other stored in the liver. It just all depends on it in the body it's stored. Okay. Glycogen is the major form of polysaccharide storage in animals, similar to the structure of amylopectin. It is stored in the liver. So there you go. When glucose is needed, glucose is hydrolyzed from the ends of the glycogen polymer. Because glycogen is highly branched, there are many ends available for hydrolysis. All right. So this is kind of showing you glycogen. All right. It's kind of showing you, a straight chain, and then it's branching off, and then it branches off again. All right. So that's glycogen. They're actually kind of showing. I don't know what they're showing you here. Maybe the white dot, which is, if you think about it, that's crazy. That white, tiny little white dot is this gigantic molecule. That's kind of crazy. Another form of sugars are sugars that have amine groups to them. All right, they are called glycosaminoglycans. Glycosaminoglycans, or GAGs for short. They are unbranched carbohydrates that are derived from amino sugars. All right. And here is one example. You can see the sugar. All right, but notice you have a carboxylic acid in one end, and then here's the amine group. All right, these are sugars that are kind of bound into cells. All right, here's an example of a very common one in our bodies that's responsible for lubricating our joints. All right, chondroitin is another one. This is kind of a more common one, which is in our cartilage and tendons. You know, if someone probably has a grandparent that's kind of like taking chondroitin as a, you know, along with their vitamins, just to kind of alleviate some knee pain or elbow pain or shoulder pain. So again, you can see the our nitrogen group in there. All right, heparin is another one. Heparin is responsible for blood clotting, and it's a type of sugar that has a whole bunch of other types of groups in it, but it also has that amine group as well. It's stored in our livers. All right, here they just kind of show you the various places where these um, uh, GAGs or glycosaminoglycans are stored. All right. Oh, heparin, there we go. Chitin is another one. It's a polysaccharide from, now again, fancy name, N-acetyl D-glucosamine unit. All right, so what does that mean? Remember, N-acetyl aminos, the amine groups, means you have a nitrogen that has an acetyl group attached to it. All right, and remember, an acetyl group is a carbonyl with a CH3 on it. So that's an acetyl group. So N-acetyls, because if you notice, all your N's have that group on it. All right, it's a D sugar, so obviously the OH is on the right side, and it's a glucosamine. Okay, and glucosamine, you've probably heard of that, is basically a glucose molecule that has an amine group. That's it at the at our carbon 2. All right, and then we will stop right there and come back with section 20.8 on the next slide and talking about blood types and how sugars are responsible for our blood type.